right started. So I really
Okay. Okay, everyone, let's settle. I'm starting here in a minute. Right. Let's check if that's working. It seems like it's working. That one's not working. Okay, good. Working good? Good. So, welcome back. Great. Really?
Yeah.
I'm sick the whole time.
Yeah, no. All right, I see like coughing, so going around. Yeah. So good. Welcome back. I'm sure that everyone got a lot of time to practice your skills and no. But at least you got some time off to move off. And you're all recharged and ready to go.
Yeah.
All right. I didn't see that. Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna look at now is what we actually worked out really well because we looked at Flask, we looked at UCSD, and we did look at PyMongo. Remember that? You nodding. So tell me what is this?
I was just nothing but sake of
That's not good. That's not good. What is Flask? Let's tell me what Flask is.
I don't remember Flask, but I remember Beautiful Soup.
Beautiful Soup, yeah.
Scraping.
Correct? Yes. Yeah. Beautiful Soup. We scraped a lot of websites. We went to the court's website and we got all that data. PyMongo was to do what stuff one? What was the use of PyMongo?
It's a different type of a database to which you can access data.
So MongoDB. That's MongoDB.
Yeah.
MongoDB, right.
So PyMongo does what?
I don't remember.
Oh my God.
So we're from MongoDB, I'm pulling the data from Mongo.
From Mongo.
Using
And also to insert data,
Oh, right.
right? So you could scrape something and insert it into the MongoDB database. Remember that? Somewhat? Yeah? Okay. Good. So that's that. Yes.
SQL alchemy, like for MySQL, and then Mongo for
Yeah. Basically the same. Trying to get stuff out, in and out. So so I think we're looking at three things, right? We're looking at creating a web presence for ourselves, right? With a lot of HTML learnings and stuff like that. We're learning to scrape someone else's website and get information out of that and store it, or store it in our database and then use that database to show it to the world what we're doing. So you see what we're trying to do. We're trying to create these tool sets and understanding of these tool sets to do this effectively without having to spend any money on the actual software, right? So if you can learn that, any software or any enterprise platform that you work with, will basically a better way of doing it. So, your company pays for something, and you can use that, but the concept, underlying concepts will remain the same. You know what I'm saying? So if you know JSON, even if you have an enterprise software, now you know how to go at the core of JSON or HTML or XML, or for that matter, anything, pull data stuff off of it. Okay? So that's what we're trying to do. Today, we're going to learn something very important that is rendering, right? So using Flask that we learned a long time ago, how can I render my, what I want to render to a website in a way that I want it to be automated, almost, okay? So we'll see what that means, okay? And we learned Flask earlier to show stuff from our databases and kind of show it to the world or kind of render that or get that out. So So let's start without further any waiting any further. So so here I think our first stuff goes into. Does anyone remember Flask even? Oh, come on. What is Flask, Francis?
When you use to publish your JSON.
Right. Yeah. Kind of something like that. Yeah. Kind of making website work, right? Same thing. So now you know you can scrape stuff. You can scrape do PyMongo stuff to read it out of database. So today we're really going into doing this from database sets and then putting it out to the world of what we want them to see. So the very first example in this series is going to be looking at how this works, okay? So you have to, I think, first of all, learn and be good at like understanding this whole syntax, right? Which is trying to get to zoomed in, but maybe that, okay? So, okay, first of all, I think all of you must have Flask on your system because last time we used it. So that should work. In Flask, there is this library called render template. And so this is a two-step process, right? So you first have to define your like index.html file, which has to have a certain piece of code, like a syntax, right? Pretty much like you can borrow it from Bootstrap. We saw that, you know, in Jumbotron, we saw how to put Jumbotrons on. Those who remember HTML, right? So we can get that back CDN, Bootstrap CDN. Remember, we learned Bootstrap, and then so that's the very familiar code. In here, this is like defining. So what you want to render, right? You want to render the text from somewhere, okay? So this text will be served as a header of the Jumbotron. Is that clear? So we're going to get some text out of something. And actually, I highly recommend you all to look at, this is a very common method of doing things. So has anyone ever used Gmail as a marketing campaign tool? Like, have you ever like sent people like, you know, I had to send Happy New Year messages, right? Next time you get this from me, don't think I did it this way. I wanted to say that personalized, right? I wanted to say, well, you know, I remember you and you know how, so.
We're just at the bottom of the list.
Right, so, but I want to do it. Like I have about, I used to send these cards earlier and that was painful, right? We do still do it for some people because it's just they want to look at their email. I know they're not of that generation, but yeah, so I started doing this. And so on email, you can go to Gmail and basically have a list on your Google Sheet. They have all the names, have all the, I forget what it's called, mail merge. Yeah, go use. Have you guys used mail merge before? It's a plugin, so you can go and you can have all your names, you can create groups, and you should use this. I mean, you know, it's a very personalized way of greeting someone. You put their first name, and then you will verbalize everything because, and then you will see that, you know, in Gmail, this also means like a variable. So I'm thinking that they probably have built it around. I don't know what exact technology they're using behind the scene, but they have their API, and you know you can play with their API also. The main API, and people have created these tool utilities, and you can schedule it on a server. So I can basically have my New Year emails written for 2020 right now, and you know schedule it on the server. We'll send it on next year, first of next year. So anyway, so that's so this is basically saying, hey, this is the variable. This is some coming in from somewhere else. Okay, this is an HTML type of stuff. So just remember that when you call this two curly brackets and have a variable in there, you have to pass something there. Okay, so this should be very familiar. How to write this. Otherwise, if you would just write the text out here, but I want to bring the text from somewhere else. Okay. I'll Slack a video of how to do the mail merge also. But then, so this is the templates folder, and you need this for Flask to operate in this fashion. You need the templates folder there. I think it has to be named templates. You can't really name anything else. Yeah, and so the app.py, that one you need to specify. And we know from our experience, of course, this line should be familiar, always should be there, because you want the Flask and you want the render templates library, right? So you have that. This line is also familiar. This is just what are we doing here? Yeah, creating, like, this is like, and this goes hand in hand, right? So if you create, this is the start of your program where you create an instance and you close. Remember, we learned this in class, right? So you're not saying that, and underscore name and main, this is a main function, that's where it starts. App.route is just basically the route, right? So we'll look at it, but for example, I have this, but if I have like, I would call google.com/ API, something like that, right? And so APIs, I think. So this is like, this gets translated, of course, because it's a big thing, but the slashes are like the next page and so on, okay? So we'll look at that also, but this is the home route, right? So this nothing but is the first page that gets loaded, the home page, correct? Okay. So you have index.html, and you have this definition app.route, that /, and then you say define echo, okay? You can call this anything you want. You can call this, literally, echo is just what standard code would look like. And return render. Now you're calling that particular function, render the template, index.html, text saying serving up cool text from the Flask server, okay? And then this is basically how we close the program by saying if name is equal to main, app run debug true, okay? So it's just the syntax. So if actually, I'll close this for a minute, just testing it. And so what you have to do is if you go and run Python app.py, what we'll do is we'll bring up a page that we need. Right? So I'm just going to close it. I think it does open now. So here you go. And now this one is the server where it's running. It's always when on your local host. Local host is nothing but 127.0.0.1. The port that will do it is 5000. So let's copy it. And then let's go open new Chrome and put it here. And now it's serving up cool text from the Flask server. Okay. So the benefit of this, if I wanted to send something else, right, I can go in here and say, something like, welcome back and happy new year 2019. And I can go back and run it again. So this is a way, dynamic way, maybe you can send things to, I mean, we're going to try and make it automated. See if it changed. Welcome back and happy new 2019. Okay. So yeah, this is just a Jumbotron from Bootstrap thing that we know with code. Now you have pretty much parameterized that text. You can add other variables, which we'll look shortly, adding more stuff, making it more readable, automating it in different ways, just as you would otherwise. So is that clear? Is everybody clear on what's going on? And we're going to move on to the next example, but I just want to make sure that this one is clear. Okay. Any questions right now? Questions? Okay. Okay. Still feeling comfortable with the pace? Okay. Cool. So let's go and look at, so this was a simple hello world kind of example. Got the code from Bootstrap. I mean, you could add radio buttons, stuff like that, do all different things on this page. and then, pass it, and we'll see how to read it from Mongo or other places as well. So that was that. Let's go ahead and look at this next example, okay, in which we're going to define not just one route, but multiple routes, okay? So I'm going to basically build a lot of understanding in this class. Just so you know, we're coming back on a Monday, and we're covering up for a Saturday class, right? Because we ended on Wednesday. So if I start going a little bit faster than you think I should go, stop me, ask questions, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover the understanding of everything as much as possible, and then have you guys do the assignment. Okay, so I want to go through the class. It will be maybe an exercise or two that you can do, but mostly it's going to be covering up the class and then going back and working with the class on the assignment of the student pieces. Okay, so here's the thing, right? So if you look at this, so I have two HTMLs now because I want to define, like how google.com/API, right? So I want to define slash something, and I want to define another page. So I want to define two pages, right, with this code. So index is nothing but my Jumbotron text in the center, okay? And now as I said, as I like to send automated emails for certain occasions, maybe it's a major holiday or something, you're now going to start parameterizing things. So welcome, blah, blah, blah. XYZ hobby sounds like a lot of fun, okay? That will be a Jumbotron, which is a big box right in the middle. Welcome, welcome, Sydney. Your cooking hobby seems like really a great fun, a lot of fun for us at least. But thanks for that. And so that's something that you can parameterize. And so you can, now we're going step ahead. We're going into basically reading it from parameters, and then we'll start reading it from databases, of course, as we go forward. But then that's that. And then I'm going to say, well, click here if you want to go to my bonus page, okay? I'm going to define my bonus page pretty much as saying, well, this is a secret homepage, welcome, blah, blah, blah. I'm glad you enjoy XYZ hobby. I'm going to say return to my homepage by providing that slide. So by doing this, I have the second page that renders data from a certain program. And now I'm going to start writing the program. So when you start doing this, the first thing you will do is you will write these HTML codes, right? And then see how they look like, and then go back and write your app.py file. Basically here in this case, the first thing I'm going to do is, let me close this. Okay, so I said, okay, well, name is Neil. Okay, so now I'm trying to get flexible with my passing of things, and hobby is baseball, let's say, and then I'm going to go and say, well, render template index.html and pass the name, right, whatever name we give here, and then pass the hobby, baseball. So what's that doing is it's going to take my name and the hobby and then pass it back and say, and then again, as I said, you don't have to do define echo, you can say define Neil, okay? And so it shouldn't name Neil, but just making a point that you can define anyway, like, and then, how we did the app route, that's the homepage template, index.html template. Same way here, app route would be bonus for the second page. And we'll see in a minute how it works. And we're defining bonus, right? So this should be really named define index, but that's okay. We can name it, or it doesn't have to be defined. And then again, for bonus.html, I want to pass. So this is the function that I call, right? And if you go here, it renders the template from blah, 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 and, so on and so forth, that information. So, and then context of it. So you pass these two things, and then you close the program with if underscore name. So these two lines always remain the same. Creating the Flask app instance, setting up variables, you can name anything you want. And so once this is done, let me go back to this. And so CD Then run the Python app. So it's running. It started it debug mode whatever it's on, and you could go to this web page here, and so earlier we were sending this to the Flask server that's on our machine. I'm sending this. Hey, welcome Neil. Baseball sounds like a lot of fun. Okay, and then again, what we saw was click here to visit my bonus page, right? So that's just going, and now look here, we just slash that, it's now slash bonus, right? So that's what we're find the app app dot route thing. You're just basically saying go to bonus, and they're saying what the order. Okay, so that's why it's going to bonus. So if you go back here, just watch this one here, and define bonus takes us there. And then, of course, at the end, to return home, I can hit this page, it goes to home. So you see how now I'm kind of adding the interactivity to this thing and how it goes back and forth. Is that clear? Is everyone clear on this one? Okay. So, again, I'm using a lot of Bootstrap HTML stuff. Otherwise, this becomes painful, right? So you can define your entire page, a series of pages, use Flask to basically render template or render variables like this, and start sending it to the code. Okay. Automation, little bit more than what we were able to do before. Okay, so that's that. Let's see what else can I cover. Is everyone with me on this piece still? A little? Okay. Syntax, yeah, syntax. I'm telling you, like, if you don't work with it every day, it can be challenging. So I want you to understand the syntax, not have to remember everything, because in real world, even either you will become an expert knowing what goes where, but mostly you're going to do a lot of copy paste. Okay? So just be comfortable with that. I mean, you don't have to write every single one in your program. You really don't. Okay. So let's go a little bit forward into understanding how if I wanted to do a list. Okay, so we're slowly developing. Now we're sending the first one, we send packet text, right? This is the text. Next one is variabilize the passing of parameters. Okay. Now we're going to send a list to this program. Okay. So my index.html. Okay, so index.html, where you need a list, is going to be a little bit of coding involved. Right? So, I wanted to do this, then I need this coding, like percent for name in list percent, send name and for. It's going to be a little bit difficult. How can I find this, right? So, as I said, don't be afraid to for loop in render template, right? Render template Flask. Let's see. Okay, Flask. Okay, let's look at that. Yeah, somewhat similar. Percent for key segment in this, and percent and for. Okay, so these two statements are key. So you'll have to start borrowing code from different places. Actually, this is the Jinga is the place where these percent statements are. Right? So if you go to Jinga, I don't know if I'm Jinja, whatever Jing. I think it's Jing, but Jinja. Okay. Here you have those for loops. And here's like all the documentation for it, who uses it. So of course, a lot of people use it. So this is kind of the way of how you do for loop, and it's giving end when you start in percent for name in name list, right? And so that's what we're doing here. So for now, for today's class, just get comfortable with this for loop method. There are various ways you can call for loops, as you know, in different programming languages. This is just a syntax stuff. Percent for name in list percent, then alias for list, and then you're passing all the name, right? That will be in the list. So let's see what am I really passing. And so everything else on this should be fine. Passing a team rosters, and then looking at here, I know now I can pass a list. Great. So what I want to do actually is I want to pass all these values from this list to my web page, right? So there are a lot of times when you have to pass a lot of stuff to your web page, and lists are the more efficient way of doing it. And what the for loop is doing is it's going to go pick up the first value in this list, then the second value in this list, then the third value in this list, and the fourth value in this list. And when they get to the end, it will end the program. That's the only change we made here, right? So instead of passing one value, now we're passing multiple values. And you see how we're building into this thing that we can now almost get close to automating it somehow, right? These are important concepts. So lists, so we can pass static value, we can pass a variable value, and now we're passing the list, okay? So let's go and do this and see how that looks like. Everyone's with me on this one? Is it moving at a right pace? I know I might be going a little faster than usual because we want to get to the yes.
So I'm not
Yeah.
able to run this. It is saying that refuse to connect. So
Which one?
This happening. So
You need to send HTTPS.
here it is running.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. Okay. Nolan has it. Okay. So yeah. Just wait with me for maybe another couple of things, and then we'll start running it now. I'll be with you guys, helping you run it on your machine if it's not working. Okay. So we're gonna get into a little more complex stuff, but this is I should be straightforward. Okay. So I'm building these concepts. We'll merge them pretty soon. So this is the code. So let's see. I'm going to ask a volunteer. I'm going to actually ask Upteen. Upteen, what do you think the web page will look like when we run this? So I have these. I think where would you look even? How would this look like? Yes. Yeah. Good stuff. So remember, when you go in a company to work with a group of people, there's high possibility that they already have some code up there, right? The first job, really, first thing that you should do when you join a software engineering team is really look at what code is around you and understand that. So that's what he's doing. He's saying, I'm going to go and look into index.html and see what would it look like. How would this page look like? Okay, so I'm guessing I'll have a big box, Jumbotron. Yeah, the rectangle, yes.
Feed it in all the team roster.
It will have team rosters in here. Okay.
And you have that loop underneath there. And then in the app.py, you're using a list.
Okay.
And the name, I'm assuming, is going to be like the team roster name, and you list it underneath team roster.
Perfect. So you're saying that this is what we expect. We will have jumpers, right? We'll have dunkers, and then dribblers and passers. Okay. All right. Okay, cool. So this is what we expect. Okay, let's see what it does. So everybody understands why this will be the case, because he looked at the Jumbotron on the index.html, and then he looked at the these lists. Okay. Okay, so let's try this. That shouldn't affect it, but somehow it's setting close. Okay. Okay. CD dot dot. CD dot dot is just to change directories, and so okay. All right. So go CD desktop. Okay. I'm just going to close and open a new one. Okay. Bash CD desktop, because this is where my files are, and CD activities, and then ls to list CD. I think this is what we're doing. We're rendering a list, and so and sold. Yes. And I have that. So I'm going to run Python and then app.py. And now I'm going up here and going to see what happens when I give. Okay, perfect. So I have a Jumbotron with theme rosters, and then I have jumpers, dunkers, dribblers, and passers. Okay, that's exactly what it did. It went through the for loop for percent for in names, in lists, percent, and then all of that, and then pass the name, whatever name you have in the other file, which is a list. Name is a list, and so all those names are coming in here. Okay, so clear. So we have. So. Good, everyone. Okay. Okay, so naturally with lists, we are good. So we now have the list. Maybe, let's see. Let's see. Okay, maybe this is a time where you guys try the next activity where student render underscore list. So go to that one and read this file. You just have to do a web page that will display your list of your top 5 movies. Let me see if you have index.html. Just have any of your 5 top movies that you like, and then create a list. Exactly the same code, maybe help you with a little bit of this. Yeah, so. Yes.
I was just trying I was just opening the render list itself. And I was trying to open the HTML file, so I ran the Python.
Yeah, so just copy that.
Okay. And then I can just put it
Put it in the browser.
Thank you.
So the first thing to do will be to write your index.html. It didn't work.
Oh, yeah. That's so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me try.
So just do it.
That was just meeting both batteries.
So don't do control C, just
Go to the control C will close.
close it.
Do that and then go to.
Oh,
there you go.
interesting.
Okay, perfect.
Now it's running. Thank you.
Okay. You have this code, right? You guys have this code right here, correct? The one that we just looked at. Yeah, this code. That would be the most challenging piece.
We're about 10 minutes ahead of Saturday's schedule.
Yeah.
Today's schedule. But we're at the current rate of making up time.
Okay.
We're about on schedule.
Great.
By my
Good.
estimate.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if it comes to that, then we will have to really focus on the cover up.
So how you doing? How you doing?
How's it been? It's like, it's better than that.
Okay.
It's better than this, but probably worse than fair.
Better than that.
Oh, it's not Jewish.
Yeah. Exactly.
You can put it in the website.
Yeah.
You got the, you just put it in the website and you use it.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh, it's crazy.
I don't know why it's called hurricanes. Really. It's interesting. Like a tag. Yeah. But like, you don't start writing until you so your favorite movies. My favorite movies are like Lost. It's an interesting topic.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's like not that.
Yeah.
You never get to know a person by whether they are super constructive of them, by very weak.
What if they take really bad hurricanes that is happy hurricanes?
National.
They only took the national championship and like stand
Football. If it happened, that's really strong. Even though they're monsters.
Yes. I'm curious if we have. I'm just curious. So if I make a second list, we probably pass two lists just by making one list, like oh, that's variable here, right? That would work.
Maximum error if it doesn't find that variable in here.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if it will.
So here you go. So this variable.
Okay, we're gonna start back at 7:15. So
Yeah. So with that,
Yeah.
yes.
There's probably some reserved keywords that you can't use. I don't know what they are. There's probably some variables that.
I'm trying to think of an example of what, I guess like.
Yeah, you might do that. There's reserved keywords.
I have to go on to this folder, right?
if you're done with the exercise,
I did already.
leave your neighbor. If you're done with it, or
Check out. That's the one that goes here.
Jeff?
It's not a fan, it's a death. Okay, that's the one that was Slack. Or that one you created?
It was in the make sure your HTML file is set up correctly.
This one, right?
That's one. Looks fine.
Okay.
Make sure you say file.
This right? Anyone else? Which I did. It's actually this one. Okay. This one. Oh, no.
Those. Colon 5,000. In theory, you're what they would be. What you want.
No, those are pretty.
okay. Who is still working on it? Okay, almost done. Okay. I'll give you another couple of minutes and
Oh, okay. If your other one is still running. It says it's 5,000.
This is. I'm using two. Okay. Right?
It's still running.
What's going on?
okay. Let's look at the goals. Okay, I did not necessarily go into the details for you guys, but just really easily you can like look. I have this page, which is which is only this much here. So this soft one, what do you think this is called in STM, the bootstrap things? Jumbotron. And remember we did this, like we divided the page in four they're called syntax. So we have different lengths that you can change and stuff like that, right? So you might want to write something here and render that for some reason. Now you may scrape top 10 movies or top 10 songs from another website that releases all these top 10 songs or top 10 movies of 2018. And if you want to write a blog and like send those movies directly to your blog, so you don't have to do research. Right? We're going into that level, right? So you become a movie blog and you start scraping data from the legit websites that do these rankings. Keep that information here. That's possible. That's where we're going, right? And then you can have this, or you can have another thing. So top 10 movies, top 10 songs, top 10 whatever. There's books that of 2018 and top 10. I don't know, something else like top 10 DJs of 2018 or something like that. So you can scrape that, and you can also have the variable 2018 and 2019. So next year when you want to update that, you can change. It's a simple stuff, right? So that's what a lot of website bloggers would start doing if they want to build more agile websites that talk to the thing. But how I'm achieving this? This column length 4. So I'm doing 4. If I do maybe, I don't know, 8, it will spread across. This is the bootstrap stuff, right? And so I'm defining what I'm passing it is this movie here. And then is a top 5 favorite movie, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm giving this link. Right now I'm doing this static link. I have a same thing, nothing changed here. I have 5 names. I can change whatever I want to. And that's it. So when I run this, if I change the length, possibly it will. Let's see if it took place. It didn't because I probably didn't save the code. Let me go back here and save it. But the idea is just changing the length. So those who don't remember what we were doing with length, this is what we're doing with length. Interesting. That should work. I think call length is a valid call length, right? No, column 12, 4, 3, 3 will work. I know that. Control S, save, saved it. Just trying to try something here. Let's do this. Go back here. All right. I don't know if it actually changed from 4 to 3. But you get the point. What we're trying to do. Yeah. So let's move on to the next thing, which is basically looking and passing dictionaries. Okay, so we passed a length, just a list, which is a static length, which is a static kind of list that we can pass, but we get values from any key value pair database such as MongoDB. You need to work with dictionaries, right? Because it's like a binary dictionary, so key pair value dictionary kind of database. That is what MongoDB is, and that's why it's so powerful, because you can start working with these things and pretty much render dictionaries, right? So first, we need to look at how to render dictionaries. Okay, so it's again very similar. First, go and write what you want. Okay. Here, you need to say dict dot player one, player two, and what these dictionaries are doing is basically player one is Jessica, player two is Mark. Of course, you can write lots of key value pairs, and we'll look how to basically get better at it. But really, what you're doing is now you have to call all these dictionaries one by one, right? Because there's not really a for loop defined for that. Okay, so that's going to be painful. Right? So if we had a basketball team and like players on basketball, that's probably manageable. If you have everything, if you have hundreds of basketball teams, you're not going to be able to call key value pairs for everything in there in that way. And so this is simple, but really not as powerful as you would think without the automation of connecting it to the devices. Is that clear? You really got what I'm trying to say. But this is the way to do it, and we'll go and run one of these to see what it does. And basically, we'll do a jumbotron with the names of those players underneath the roster. Okay, so a list underneath that centered is what I'm expecting. So let me go and run that. So we're doing a dictionary. The powerful stuff is really to render from Mongo, and we're just building a competency to make sure that we can do that. Okay. Okay, and so build a player roster. Jessica and Mark were player _1 with Jessica, and player _2 was Mark. But now we approve that we can run a dictionary. Okay. I'm not gonna have you do this. It's pretty self-explanatory how this would work. So let's go and try. So this is your exercise. I'll just quickly show you what it would do. Let's say if you wanted to have like the dictionary can have a long length, right? So you can have it's almost like a dictionary of different lists almost, and so that's possible too. We'll just have to come and say, well, who is adopting what animal, right? And so you can then do a loop for each of the individual dictionaries, and so you're going through the dictionary, getting these names of dogs and the owners for that. Again, the Jinja code that what we saw helps you do that. And dog name and who is a dog type. So it's basically showing you who's adopting that particular dog. All those names are here. Almost immediately, you know that you're not going to type in this way if the list exceeds 100 or 200, right? Or if it's different departments in your company and you want to see who is the head of the department, yeah, maybe you'll do it this way. But why would you, even if you can do that, you would still use a MongoDB document and add values to it and run it that way. Okay, so really, just for you guys, I think it will be useful for us to look at very quickly what that code would do. And go to here. It's now going through Fido, who is a lab, Rex, who is a collie, Susie, who is a terrier, and then so on. So that's limited stuff, right? I guess you would really not use this in a bill library unless you have a really small list of things or dictionaries. What you will end up using though, and we'll do this one and then we'll probably take a break so everyone gets to possibly check on the progress on understanding what's missing. So this is how you would connect, right? And so first of all, as I said, type out what you want, right? So here, you're going to create a page for basketball. You're going to have a jumbotron. You want certain team players and their positions, team positions. So now this is like, okay, well, I want to do this from Python, right? And so before you do Python, I think you have to go and run the Python client, right? So where was that? I don't even remember. Initialize a Python client on your, no, not Python, MongoDB client on your machine. MongoD, there you go, MongoD. Right. Now MongoD is up and running somewhere on my machine. I have to leave this alone because now I have a MongoD running through the let. So I'm going to go back here, cd desktop. Please. Let's see. Without running an instance, you really can use MongoDB. Right? I mean, you need a server for an instance. If you had a server somewhere else, you could then use it because that server would be running. But right now, I'm using my machine as a server as well as a client. So I want to initialize that one first. Now with this, you probably have PyMongo already on your machine. If you go somewhere and you don't have PyMongo, you have to just install PyMongo and then you get it. Okay, so that's that. Now let's go look at what we're trying to do. So actually, if I run this in one go, it's actually going to run the whole program and then drop everything. So no, it will not actually, it will just drop. So if I go ahead and run this program, here are the things that it's doing. First of all, it's importing Flask and render templates, right? So it's giving us ability to connect and render templates. It's importing PyMongo, which we need because that's how our Flask will know how to connect to a MongoDB instance, right? And it will go ahead and define the function as we did in MongoDB. I think we did look at this. You guys remember, yeah? We did do this in our Flask class. So, and then connection variable with the database information. In this case, it's localhost. So on port 270717, right? And then the connection to the client, standard stuff that we have been doing. This one is just dropping the collection if it already exists. What is a collection, Johnny? What is a collection in MongoDB? Okay. What's the connection?
Like schema?
Table. Table's connection. Okay. So, yeah, guys, it's so easy to forget this concept. I'll tell you that you should we will do a project and then you will be forced to use this code, but like somehow, I don't know if someone has a great, we're giving you a lot of code, but if you guys have created a good notebook or like notes, share those amongst yourselves because otherwise these concepts, right? If you're not using it, it can be forgotten. So we're highly advised that at least if you're preparing for the interview, write this thing because they will ask you. And if you struggle, they can tell that you haven't worked on this thing for more than maybe 20 hours, right? And so not that it's a requirement, just saying, but it should be, I'm sure, get good notes. And so, right, so now I am manually inserting it. Right? For this exercise, I'm going to manually insert the values in the collection in my table, right? And those are the columns, almost like there is a column, and then the position of that there is another column, right? We have that. Of course, I'll set that up, and I'll do the list, right? The list is everybody in the. We don't have to print the teams, but we want to get the teams rendered into the index. So just watch what people do. And so, so what we learned about this one also, right? In the team table, we learned all these functions basically. Insert functions. We learned in PyMongo how to find. Right? So find is basically to find the data values from your table or your collection, and also, I mean, yeah, here's an example. So if you highlight the code, it's giving you an example, which is basically saying go and find the key number that we're not passing any parameters, so it will find everything in that and we'll render it to the index.html page. In index.html, again, we're accepting these as they come, right? They come as team player in the position, keep their value. So we're accepting this. So what would be a potential output of this program? Chicken, what would it do?
Well, the Jumbotron would have the header of the basketball players,
Okay.
and then it would give the list of the players and their positions.
Okay. And
from the list.
This list.
That list.
That list.
Yeah.
So this list will be in our MongoDB database. Correct. Okay. So let's look at that. So we have that MongoDB Compass app. If you still have it on your desktop, look at it. We'll create a collection. Let's see, it's loading. What I'm going to do is wait for it to load, or let me see. My CPU is clocking 100%. Okay, I'm going to wait. Let my CPU cool down a little bit. Okay. Okay, back to that MongoDB thing, right? And so these were the things that we were looking at. We had at one point create lists and stuff like that. You know, the cars that we scraped a long time ago from a website using, scraping techniques that we learned in Beautiful Soup. And so, so we kind of try and tie together everything. Now let's go ahead and run this code and see what it does. Right? If I go to CD, I think I'm doing insert render from Mongo and going into it here. Okay, CD solved. Less. Hi. That's here. Python app.py. Okay. That's it. So it has Jumbotron and Chetan said basketball players, and now it's getting me the point guard mark. Jessica's of my point guard, and now I should have this Teams database with a table or collection as Jessica point guard and Mark the center. Okay, so it did what we wanted to do. It created a team collection, and it like using our code, which we had learned earlier how to do these things, and then it created those key value pairs, and then that's it. Makes sense? Okay, cool. A lot of stairs. Is everybody getting what's going on? Who is still like kind of a little struggling with any of the concepts that we're learning today for any reasons? No? No? Good. Okay. So now we're going closer to the automation, right? So now we know how to scrape things, right, from a website. So if I wanted to list all these Craigslist guitars that we scrape, right? Right. So this is nothing. This should be easy. Should be really easy for me. I can create a jumbotron, say that Craigslist guitars available for sale around us, right? Something like that, and then give that title, price, and stuff, price and URL in a nicely looking format. And boom, I can get all the guitars anytime like I wanted to look at around me, just scrape up. And so right on the code, I don't have to go to Craigslist and look at guitars and blah blah blah. It's automated now. Not only that, I can publish that. And so remember those. I mean, I'm not saying that they do it, but like websites that would, like I could literally scrape things off of Craigslist and create my own better looking website because Craigslist has never changed, which is also cool. And I can have that service available to my users in a more beautiful format by scraping it. So boom, done. Now I can start my own almost a small service up.
I've learned, I learned in tutoring that a number of websites actually are programmed to look for the bots that are scraping. Are good resources for us to so we can learn how to incorporate specifications to fix those bots?
I think they definitely have smarter people than I am to monitor those things. But here's one thing, right? So if you, I don't think it's. I would say that I don't know if they could sue you for doing it without their knowledge. I don't know if they have any language on their
Some
website.
do, some don't. In other
Yeah.
words, I just trying to figure out how to make the bot like mimic more human behavior and maybe spend a little bit longer scraping one page than the other or cycling.
I'll tell you how you can do that. You'll have to buy a bunch of VPN providers or the things. So you're always switching your IP address to a random location in the world. Okay. Yeah, I mean they can't find you, and then you will have to pretty much go ahead. I mean that's one sort of your server always changes where it's waiting from, and the other thing is you have to change the time when you skip. You have to randomly pick a time, which is not like really useful app. That's not a good thing. So I would rather like do the program and like approach maybe pull that or pay Google API or something like that if you have a good idea. But those are the two things. You have to mask where you're coming from. You have to mask what time you stay. Those two things.
Whatever we request, I think was.
Well, here's the thing with this stuff. Are you going to build your business model out of this? Like, so it's like the biggest question is, okay, well, you can do this today, tomorrow. You can do this for 1 year. Right? You're going to
model. I was just thinking.
For fun, you can do it.
Yeah, fun you can do it. But yeah, I mean, I think you're going to invest so much energy. I would rather invest it in like something that will maybe make some money for it, right? Otherwise, you know, some other ones that you don't want to. But yeah, for fun, yeah, definitely. Come on. Let me think about some cheaper way of doing that. Sure. And actually, there are people. Here's the thing. There are people who would pay a bounty-based money system. So it's completely white artificial hacking, right? The white hackers and black hackers, like white hackers that do this typically, and they would find vulnerabilities in your website. And the guy who brought Twitter down is the head of Google Cloud Platform. right? Because he only brought it down, he immediately reported it and said, hey, I brought your website down, here's what I did, bring me the facts, I just wanted to prove that this can be done. Because until you do it, people will be like, oh, no, we got that. They're going to go fix it because it's done, right? So you can state things, you can say, well, anyone can state their stuff, here's how I did it. And I'm sure that, I'm not even sure that mimicking that behavior, how they can catch you, but they probably can. But there's a bounty-based system, not only in our, so I learned about this company, it will come to me now. They basically get people in Philippines and India on a contract, and these actors are living, like they live in India or Philippines, because, or they're Indians or from Philippines, and they would act for this company. So this company goes and gets contract from AT&T or big companies to find what could be like cybersecurity stuff, and so they get paid on how many vulnerabilities do they bring back. And they pay these people in India up to $300,000 to $500,000 finding specific vulnerabilities. But if it's like you report 10, the bounty is 1,000 per like cybersecurity hack. So you might have to spend 2 days if you're really good at something. If you're good at something, you might find 2 days, or you might spend 3 months and 2 years. I don't know. Like, they just post it out. You go and you find these things, and you get money. And so some things like that's completely ethical. I think Tim, I know, goes to that conference, DEFCON. It's pretty famous in the that's a lot of cybersecurity kind of stuff, right? I don't know if people are paying some similar amount of money and getting doing web scraping and stuff. And there was a time when it was really hard because not many people can do it. But cybersecurity stuff is really hard right now. But that's a good question. I don't think Craigslist will stop you from doing it. I may be wrong. Oh yeah, LinkedIn will stop you. Yeah, LinkedIn. Oh yeah, there is a lot of scraping that you can do from LinkedIn. I think it's open. It's open, but I think they capture something. LinkedIn scraping is totally possible. I've seen people do that. Like I can scrape all my contacts from LinkedIn, and I can do the same thing. I can create that list that sends Happy New Year to those contacts from my profile. And I don't know if it allows you to scrape everything, but I've seen people that do that. Like you get a really personalized email from someone. Like, hey Neil, I've been looking at it, but you can tell after, like it probably is automated. And that's coming in from LinkedIn has figured that out, right? But there are people outside of LinkedIn, they will pull all of that, pull with the mail merging email, and boom, send you mass email. Hey, if you know someone that's looking for this, and that's coming from an automated. You can't tell that's coming from an automated system, but that's a good way of doing it. Like if you want to wish something personalized from your Gmail, I'll send the mail much stuff to you guys. Do try it. It's fun to try. You'll see how we're getting better at doing things, and then you don't have to have MailChimp or something like that. I think MailMerge captured some guy has written that, of course, but and he captured like certain like 1,500 or I don't know, 50 schedules. But I never exceeded that because I will just schedule it on December 29th, December 30th, December 31st, and then that's just something like that. So I go. Anyway, so that's that. Where are we now? Okay, so that was list. Dictionaries. Getting into MongoDB. Yay, that's good. Now let's take a break. Come back at 8 sharp. Actually, yeah, let's take a break. Come back at 8 and then start again. I know this class is a little heavy. one should have case rate.
Me too. The first meeting was like around Christmas. But I couldn't do that. Yeah, I was taking new snacks and I would take down their fluid. I would be the day I'd be amazing. The whole time, the holidays. Yeah. I'm actually feeling better. Where I'm now, we don't kick it because the heater. Yeah.
Turn it on. It'd be like. I guess it's full bar, right? I mean, turn over the clays. It is like it's really. Yeah.
Say that.
We do. It's really good to be really take down on access.
I don't.
Why don't you go, so in this one,
Yes.
write the list. And then we tell the applicant to go for the and then we hold the list that we wrote in. Why don't we work out the variables in one place? Why don't we like you?
This morning thinking like, I
We used to say.
So like.
April 1, right? April 1's our last.
If you want, I can now say, I'm sure you do 5 minutes just to talk.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's on, I think it's, yeah, or it can, yeah, I would have to look up.
Why didn't we just have
probably documents, that's all, if you wanna look at it first,
Yeah.
but I can just slack it out.
I'll take a look at it first because then I don't want to get out there and not know anything. I don't want to waste
No
Yeah.
I hear you. I'm not even getting the ground working, so. Yeah.
Scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, tomorrow I'll probably, if you want, I'm sure the doctor would be happy to just take 5 minutes to talk to you.
You're gonna hold it.
Okay.
The data that
Yeah.
What are you taking when you do? That's it.
I'll make sure that.
All I did was binge watch. Binge watching on anime.
No, we saw a lot.
Yeah, I was there decent. And even then, when I was there, yeah. Yeah, man, every time when I got up, it was like really dizzy. Yeah, there's one. Like you said, I sound like Louis Armstrong with my voice. Yeah, and I knew it too. So that one night, the next day, I had a sore throat. Man, next day, did you? Yeah. Okay. I live in Old Town. So, and I can be a part of East County, but it was like, down like at night, overnight, it was down to like 40. Yeah, yeah.
It was rough, but I was like,
Was it? Oh, right, yeah. I know.
I was thinking about how like
Really?
it's like other way to predeterminate and like laws of like why zero transpose is the same thing.
I swear, after we had talked yesterday, I was thinking,
That way, but I was like,
no, serious. Yeah, it was just, because we got that unreal freaking, thing, right?
you think it's not going back to the
Oh, no, Saturday. Yeah, yeah.
I don't even know where to
somebody who's first way how to do it like
I was telling you, we got all this shit that's going on at work right now. They're wrapping up in Oscar vacation in India.
I don't know if this is
Why? And then so because on the before, they let go of a bunch of Bangalore. Really? So they let go. Because we got bought up by this company.
yeah,
They let go.
I had this problem
We got about 8 people, including some managers. So. And then they kept us.
Yeah,
You have about 5, 6 years.
exactly.
So around October,
A's the matrix, but then, you know, the matrix has,
they were going.
S is the matrix of the eigenvector. Yeah, they were for the
Now-
eigenvector matrix.
They just.
That's what it
They
is.
just,
You know,
just
S
more
refers to
people in.
and
Bangalore. And we're thinking like.
it kind of makes sense, so, yeah, they're like, it was good, man. I've never
We're feeling that they're gonna.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No worries. Sense.
Yeah, get that moved. Yeah.
So.
I was like, oh, look at this one.
Then we'll go, I guess.
Yeah, when we first started.
That's like my,
I was like, all right.
my family
I've been
was
learning all that.
the suburbs.
Yeah, me too.
Like I have like.
Where is are you? Whitefield, you know where Whitefield? Oh yeah. So that's
I mean,
where.
I think the last time I was doing,
Yeah, just be quiet.
I like 12 years ago. It's, yeah, it was like the, it's like the Silicon Valley.
Yeah, no, that's what I heard. That's what I heard. Yeah, and I was just telling her how everybody in Bangalore is going out to training. We're actually sending those guys to thermal training, and not us. What's going on?
Yeah. Maybe we're just preparing now. It's not gonna happen. Where's the main headquarters? It's in Japan. It's like an AT&T.
Yeah, just go on this.
It's a Japanese company. You know what I did when I was sick? I was just telling you, I binged watched anime. I was on the freaking bed for like a week. I was about 3 days off. Usually my father's like 6 months in Japan. And my mother would introduce me to watching that. All these things school to do that. Outside. I've been there. But so yeah.
Oh, yeah. It wouldn't be a shark.
They see somebody like that.
I was out for it. I was only one
I didn't say that. When I was in military, so we had a base in Sasbo, and also I was a big back then when that was the first part of my years in the military. I was a big time street fighter player, and I went there. I got my axe like literally got my big one. So yeah. I used to be all people like that. Like, play these guys. I got my act back so bad. It was pretty sad actually. Made me stop. Yeah. No, I got humble. I got humble. My little kid too, like maybe 9 years old, 10 years old. Yeah.
That's what places.
Oh yeah.
I got with him and a couple calls. Like, this is so hard. I'm like, how many people like you have to spend like hours and hours and hours like I was like, I don't have time for this. It's like they only got like the 2 games I played around. There's a couple and the time was
Now it's so competitive. And you know that one guy got killed for that. And there's a guy who killed a bunch of people. He got killed or something like that because of that. Yeah. It's big money. Remember back in the day, had arcades. People come in and go play. It was fun. Now there's no play online. In Korea, you know, it's huge. All the games Oh yeah.
quarters on the machine.
Yeah. They don't hear. But there's still a lot of places that have arcades. Yeah. One down the 8.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
They have like those.
Yeah. I like it when it's like there's a bunch of them really playing. Just
Oh, yeah.
I never played any of those games where, like when there's dancing and stuff like that, Dance Revolution or something like that. Yeah. Did you? Which one?
Yeah.
I binge watched on this anime called Slime. It's so good. The title stuff is good. I'll send you that and I didn't do shit. That's why I actually can say it. I have it in my freaking office.
Yeah.
We gotta play the dating house. You sure when? Sorry, you can make it that That'd be awesome.
Merry So I actually found a parking space, but I think like if I go there again, I don't know when. It was like started like every
Trust me when I tell you.
I'd rather notes is good, but I'd rather
I don't recommend it. We do ever have
I ordered the soy broth.
I was taking
The
the whole deal. Every time I got up, I was thinking,
So coffee not, like a mile here.
yeah, I was talking
Next time, try also the, I remember they had a. I know next time I'm gonna go to Johnston's house. It's just so proud. I swear, like. It only has street parking, but I almost feel like it would be justified to have a parking spot over the Dude, I don't know. You have to definitely. Okay, cool. You're at least enjoying conflict because I swear I should be there. Yeah, like why?
Okay. I just want to go back to Okay.
I mean, only one can die. I think I've recommended it once. Yeah, I only close on the 10, so that's not.
So I think a couple of people are still coming back, but okay. Next thing, what I want you guys to do, since some people are still coming back, I think I want you to go ahead and do this code here. What I'm going to try and do is give you maybe give you a little bit of solve code. So this is a little bit more what you can chew in maybe 10, 20 minutes, but let's just let's see. And I want you to work in a group, like with I'm going to give you the insert data pie. So this is another way, right? So you can insert data and then run the app pie to read the data. Okay? So remember, in this code, we're trying to do that in the same file, right? So we're inserting the data in the same file as we're rendering the data from. This is also possible where you insert data first. So of course you have insert PyMongo code that you had written previously. Maybe you can leverage one of those. Same thing, doing in the same Python code, it's just some other steps. You run this one first. You're going to insert the PyMongo. Using PyMongo, you're going to insert in your MongoDB. Let me see if am I still on YouTube? Can you check? Okay, good. So insert many, type apples, cost 23 stock. So this, I think we did something similar like this or this back when we were doing the store inventory. Remember, like apples, how many apples you have, how many or boxes of oranges you have and stuff like that. So same code, you can use that, and you have data uploaded there. Then you can go and basically do like you're writing the same code and get to. And then you can do the list DB collection find, right? That code that basically goes in the collection inventory, and then you can pass that as the inventory. Ultimately, you should have, and I want you guys to try it. You should have this nice app running, and if you want, let's just go ahead and try it. So I'm gonna go see. And maybe at the end of the day, if you still have some time left, you can try this code yourself. But CD I'm going to do Python insert data. So that's obviously what I want to run first. Uploaded, that means I should have my database updated with another store inventory database. The collection is a table with apples cost, oranges cost in stock, and so on and so forth. And then I will run my Python app, which is now has the Flask code and everything that I need to pass from my MongoDB collection back to the website that I newly created. So again, go back here and run this thing. And boom, so I have now this inventory database, apples cost, potential revenue, oranges cost, potential revenue, etc., etc. You can create a store web front if you like. You can create things that you want to sell, render images, because MongoDB is really a document-driven database, so you can have images and stuff like that. And, just create a storefront like this. pictures of your trips or whatever you want to do. So on a similar line, I think we're going to look at something that would be really useful. As I said, Craigslist, but we're going to look at, and you can also use this guitar database that we had, right, to post the what do you call it, the listings on Mongo that's on our website. If you want to do that, but we're going to look at a different example actually, but on the similar lines, right? So is everyone clear with how we do render from MongoDB, right? So you just have to first, I mean, here you needed to insert data, but now we're going to scrape the data first, right? So that we know how to scrape. We're going to look at this whole example, and then I think the last activity for today before we break is actually is you guys doing it all, right? So my goal for today was really to have you do all, right? As I said, use all three. PyMongo, Flask, beautiful super, where we use to get things and then make it beautiful. So that's that. So let's see. So if I wanted to scrape Craigslist, and we have done this before, right? So as I said, we would use let me and close. Okay, to scrape Craigslist, I have this. By the way, Splinter from input browser, right? And so I'm scraping using Beautiful Soup again. We have done this. We're giving it the Chrome driver. Remember the Chrome driver that we had to use to help open another app, because that goes in there, basically helps you scrape the data from that particular web browser, right? Which is Chrome, right? And so web-based, right? And so we have that. We're going to scrape Craigslist in, at this address. So let's see, control click. Okay, so I'm gonna scrape this. Okay, apartment listing, right? So I'm gonna go scrape being in my neighborhood, whatever you want. Any page in Craigslist is just fine, whether it's guitars or not. And then I'm going to use the same. We have to give browser location, so we know. We have to give the HTML parser for this, and then we're going to get these things from. And I'm not going to go in the beautiful soup piece. We saw how to find that. I had explicitly do go look at the view page source, and then we looked at where the tags are, and between those tags, we found where the information is. That's a lecture in itself. If you have missed it, if you don't remember it, please go back to the video and see how that's done. But what I've done is I looked at this, and I'll show you really quick. It's nothing but going to here, doing this view page source code, and it will bring you all this code, and then I'm then tasked to look at whatever, right? So get the title, the listing price, and the result word is. So that's still the same. So if you have scraped something, for example, as I said, I am totally fine in today's exercise if you choose to do the exercise that's given, or I would like you guys to even just do the same MongoDB code that you scrape before for the guitar listing, right? So you should have it on your databases, and you can do that, or you can choose to scrape something else. That's fine. Okay. So that's that. So I now have the code here. This will do my scraping for me. It will create it will scrape and create a listings database or collection in there to have these items. So we'll do it in a minute. And then once I have that, I have to create an index page, a scrape page, and so what I'm trying to do here is this is how you would define, right? So Flask PyMongo connection. So you define the database where the stuff is coming, like where the data is coming from, and then so that's the syntax for that. Right? And here, I think when you import another program, this is another way of calling a program within a program. So if you, so remember like the .py is nothing but a Python file. And so if you're importing libraries same way, you don't have to insert py, run insert py first and then run the, so it's telling you that this is actually coming off of here. Okay, so if it's in the same library, you can just pull that to the code, and so that will run. That has your scripting code, by the way. And so then we'll go down, create these connections, URL, that's a backward. And so that's that. And then we'll go through this program. Here, this is where things are familiar. The listings, as you know, listings is the listings collection within the MongoDB new data, like database that we created. And in that, you have, this is how you find particular things in MongoDB. MongoDB listings. Listings are coming from there. The data is coming from the scrape function. And so updating this data and then finally showing you the value of that. Okay, so let's look at the index.html. I should have actually started with the index.html because that's my goal to show what the Jumbotron with XML. You have hot finds on Craigslist, right? And then I'm going to give it the price, the headline, the neighborhood or heard of that information in column MD12. So that's the biggest one, right? So that'd be medium one, medium. So let's go ahead and first run this, and maybe if it's not so clear, it will become a little more clearer, I think. Once we do this, so let me go this guy here, and really we're going to dedicate last for a few, almost an hour or so. Actually, you guys doing this with your choice of Craigslist listing. It could be or anything in your neighborhood. So I'm just going to ask you to start using just to have you guys have some confidence in how this can be done without having all the time. So this is going to solve this, and I'm going to run Python. Okay, Flask PyMongo. I think I should have that. Okay, so that's something that okay.
Flash.
What's that? Flask, sorry. I'm thinking Adobe still, maybe someone on the screen. Flask, PyMongo, thanks for that. PyMongo, oh, typo again. Mongo. Okay, let's see. Try again. Okay. So close that guy. I think I do have it. So let's see. Okay, so that's that. And then go ahead and render this code onto here. Okay, so this is what happened? It was working fine. Oh, do I not have Chrome driver? Is that what it is? Minute here. Index.html. Oh yeah, I somehow don't have the Chrome browser, so I think I need to download it. Yeah, it's in the other exercise. I remember. I have it. Yep. A2. Thank you. Yeah. 2 and store 8. 0 enter solved and have the combo. Sorry. Control C. Thank you. Here you go. Here. Shape so solve. And go here. Okay. Let's try it again. Here you go, not this guy. There's that. And shouldn't have happened. But that's what's missing. And then Control C. Now let's try again. Okay, so this seems to be active. Let's see. Oh, script, sorry.
You're also going to need to change the path in this file.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right. Okay. Okay, let's see. Yeah. This one here. Oh, here. Okay, that's here. That should be it, right? Flash. Okay. Since script, so this should happen. Okay. It is working. Oh, it opens another session, right? And it goes here, it scrapes all of that. And there you go. So that's my best deal, right? So it's going through all the listings and it is pulling back in the price. It's the hot deal. And so if I click this again, so this is bringing me the 2-bedroom dishwasher friendly air conditioning 150. But what I want to look at is actually if it created my like this app listings and brought the listing right here. So I scraped one record of it and it brought me back the data from that record, bringing me the price and the neighborhoods of North Hills. If I wanted to go ahead and try and see, so just looking at something, scrape, whole button, find an awesome deal, and it calls this guy, bringing in, was it HTML parser, listing headline. It goes to the first result title, result price, and result hood. What we should try and do is, if you wanted to do more, you can scrape all the listings as we did in the Git first lesson. This is just going to the first A tag and the first span tag and getting those result price in the hood. Okay. So that's from this page source right here. So if you look at this guy and you go to almost, I think, not this one, not this one. So anyway, so finding Control F, result underscore, sorry, underscore hyphen result underscore hyphen title. All right, so here it goes to this tag, title tag, result title tag, and it brings the title of the result. It brings the result hyphen hood, and it brings this value of the hood, which we have looked at before. By calling these tags, you can go get those corresponding values, and if you put this in a for loop, it will go get all the different values of this page that you're scraping. Okay, so if you loop it, there are probably 120 titles, and also, so the next one will be whatever. They'll bring in this grilling, picnic area on-site management team, table ready. So that will be grilling and picnic area on-site ready, table ready listing, and we have looked at how we can do that. So I would ask you to go back to your results scraping. So really, scraping shouldn't be the focus, but how to. Well, we have learned that if you don't want to code that today, you can either use your guitar listing and render the code, which is basically happening using. If you go to look at app.py, you're passing where is this database coming from. So here, instead of this Craigslist, you will have Craigslist underscore app. That was Craigslist underscore DB when we had created that. So you'll pass that connection. And if you want to do that, and then you will go ahead and do find one instead of whatever the appropriate. So just find, you don't have to do find underscore one, you find, and then pass all the listings and see how we can render all the dictionaries. And that's basically what we're trying to do. You don't, as again, when you start with this exercise, you don't have to necessarily try this, which is in detail explained, and you have to scrape the data into a MongoDB database and then use that to build a new web page, and then complete the code in scrape underscore Costa. But I'm happy if you want to try something new and different. Make sure that you have the Chrome driver, but because I didn't have it and I was getting that error. Chrome driver is just the utility that, as you know, will open up a new browser and helps you scrape the data from that browser. And you can also use one of the quotation databases that we had and see how you can render that, right? So we have that. I don't know if I have that still in my database sections, but we remember we had the quotes database, like we had all those quotes, and then we pulled that and we passed it into MongoDB and so on and so forth. So I would say pick any other Craigslist or something different. You don't have to pick the same thing, right? And then scrape that for one record first, and go look back at your for loop. Remember, do one record first. Don't try to do the for loop because it could be a large thing that you don't want to parse right now. Or if you feel comfortable, for this last exercise, I would like you guys to bring the Craigslist data from the Craigslist DB, the Craigslist listing, and post that onto your workplace. Okay. So there are a couple of different things I want you guys to work in teams. It's 8:30 right now. Another hour, so I would say make teams of just your role. So Chetan is the only person in his team unless he wants to go join someone. 3 people, 2 to 3 people, and work in that fashion. Help each other with the code, and we'll be around. Me, Senia, and Nolan will be around to help with anything. So just ask questions and sit together. So make at least 2 to 3 people. Okay. So decide what you're going to use, and you're just going to do 10 out.
Yeah, very great. So there's 10 and then 9. All right, so you're yeah.
Yeah, we can set up and just use, we can use the crates to scrape the copy of the customer. And so I was going to do a crate system, and then from there just do the rest of the assignments, and just be putting on the website, but get the.
Because I actually doing that.
That was.
We could also post it, like, I could use a project.
Yeah. But that means that being the credit list is smart. Yeah. So,
Yeah. Of course I can do all
When did this happen?
So, you were born, buddy. This is before you were born. Well, I'll do this. I think.
to come up with a fun project like Lauren, she's going and scraping all the wedding photographers on Craigslist, so she can probably use it. Something like that, like you don't have to do something, but if you want to, pick something. Like you're looking for, let's say, I don't know, handyman on Craigslist. Like, what would you scrape?
What would you want to scrape?
Me?
You want to scrape those?
That would be, what do you want to do?
No, not right now.
That would be my choice, whether it would be on previous travel. I have
The one that no gold.
so. What do you feel like doing? Challenge where we're gonna struggle? Like learn, but also.
Enjoy doing it.
That was strong. Because for this one, we're
Okay, this one, okay.
Yes.
That's an addition, yes.
Was that nice?
The concepts as well.
Yeah.
We're also introducing the concepts of
Yes, yeah. So, like outlandish concepts. I'm gonna start this.